to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we're talking about something that has shaped generations in the Black community, fear-based parenting, and how it affects not just our children, but also our financial mindset and future wealth. For many of us, we grew up hearing things like, I'll beat you so the world won't have to, or you better not embarrass me in public. But was it discipline or was it trauma being passed down? Fear based parenting often includes whippings, cursing at children, and using fear as a form of control. But does it actually help our kids succeed, or are we unknowingly repeating cycles of harm? Beyond discipline, parents also project their financial fears onto their children, shaping how they see money, success, and opportunity. And many of us were taught to fear poverty, avoid risks, and prioritize survival over wealth building. But does that mindset really hold us back? So today we really are asking the tough questions. And I'm also going to say this may trigger someone because we may be talking about some of the things that may cross over. So just be prepared and be ready for our conversation. So we're going to ask these tough questions. How does fear-based parenting impact our children emotionally, mentally, and financially? And how can we break these cycles and create a healthier approach to discipline and money? And most importantly, how do we move from fear to freedom? Listen, I've got a great royal court today. We all are parents, and I know that we can all reflect on that with our children and how we were also brought up too. We have Joe Corley, licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and educator. We have Moya, our tax professional, and we have Constance Carter, wealth activist. Hello, my royal court. We are definitely getting ready to dig into some stuff. So I'm going to start us off with a quick question. And this question is not just for our royal court. It is actually for you, our viewership as well. So I'm going to start with you, Constance. What is fear-based parenting to you, and how do you think it affects our children?
Well, fear-based parenting is just that, is you putting fear unnecessarily into your children. The whole idea of, because I'm the mama, I said so, do what I say, not explaining, not giving the benefit of the doubt, not teaching, right? You expect these kids to come out knowing. It's crazy. So yeah, it's bad. And we shouldn't do it.
I agree. Totally agree. How about you, Moya? What is fear-based parenting to you, and how do you think it affects children?
Yeah, so it's along the lines of what I believe Constance just said, in the sense of not allowing them to truly voice their own opinion. I used to always tell my kids that they're not able to tell me no, but they can ask the question why.
That's good. I wish I would have known that one. I never yelled at my child like that, but that's a good one. I think I wish if I could have changed that, I probably would have done that. How about you? What does it mean for you, fear-based parenting, and how do you think it affects children?
I think beyond just, ruling with fear, it's projection, right? We're projecting our fears through our own lives onto our children, hoping that they don't make some of the same mistakes or endure some of the same pitfalls that we did growing up.
Agree. I guess fear of them going down the same path can definitely kind of shake you if you've gone through a tough road or something that maybe has given you a tough life lesson. We have a really good video that I want us to start off with, and don't forget, guys, put your comments in. We are not a talk at you show, we are a talk with you show. And D3D says, yes, a child gets used to pain is a problem. Hurt parents hurt children. That's interesting. That is another interesting take. So let's check this video out because I think it goes right along with that comment.
I hope my transparency free some brothers listening or watching. It's like, you don't want to create a legacy of wounds. You want to fight and do whatever you can to get healed, because if not, now you're going to see that same behavior in your children. Then you're mad at them, and all they did was become who you were.
That's why I think apologizing to your kids is so important, because that's something that, I feel like I never got from my father. And I always say my father raised me out of fear and not love. And I think that's what we got to avoid doing. We got to raise our kids out of love and not fear.
Yes,
The fear of that they might end up, falling victim to the street, or end up, if we were in the street doing the same things that we were doing, like we got to relinquish that.
That's true. I call it fear-based parenting. My mother was that way, which is understandably, I understand why she was, because she just lost a son, and then my other brother from my father, he was murdered. So she was terrified that I would die the same way. And because of that fear, she had checked out, meaning the affirmation that you typically get from your mother, the nurturing. I didn't get that. My mother loved me. Like everyone who knew my mother knew she loved me. But I realized in therapy, one session, when the therapist asked me, who would get the Band-Aid when you got hurt? And I said, I will. My mother would just tell me where it was. And in that moment, I realized, man, this is why I'm misusing women, because I never understood the importance of having my mother, the understanding of what nurturing is, the value, the affirmation. And I unpack the mother wound as well in that book, because many of us, what we're seeking is the love from our mothers and women, and they'll never be able to match what we didn't get. And it's unfair to them. And so
I think that's very powerful. And the fact that people can share their experiences like that is a very honorable thing, because some people, you don't want people to know your personal life. You don't necessarily want to put that out in the streets. I think that when we share our stories, we help others to be better. So Joe, I want to ask you, do whippings and yelling and harsh discipline shape a child's self-esteem and mental health?
Yeah, and I don't want to get into it with people today, because I know people have different opinions on this type of stuff. But my science tells me, and my experience tells me, that none of that stuff actually works in making your child better or more disciplined. But yes, they do shape. It has very long-term effects, and I won't go into all of it. But the answer to the question is yes, it does shape.
Okay, well, that definitely brings up more questions for me to ask everyone, because as for us in our lives. So I'm going to ask you a tough question. You can choose not to answer it or not, but Constance, was whippings or yelling a part of your upbringing?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Kinda like, I wasn't abused, but I didn't get a whole lot of whoopings. They said I needed them. I didn't get a whole lot of
You
them.
didn't?
You didn't. I needed more whoopings than I got, but I got a few of them,
Gotcha. How about you, Moya?
Yes, I did grow up getting spanked, but I do believe that it's a real thing. I think what he said at the end, in terms of us feeling like we have to discipline our children before society disciplines them, I think that's a real thing.
I think it is a real thing. I think that also has been passed down from us. Joe, how about you? Were you raised with whippings?
Yeah, I was. I got my ass beat by a man who wasn't even my father, and it definitely had an effect on me, and not a positive one. So,
Me, I think I got what my mom did was leg taps one time. I think I was 3.5. My feelings were so hurt that she never, ever had to spank me. All she had to do was look at me a certain way. And when I saw that look, I knew it. I 3.5. And it wasn't even really a spanking. It was just tapping the legs. But I am so sensitive to things like that. And I think she understood, like, you also have to understand where your child's spirit is too, because you can break a child in that way as well. So me, not so much. I think I got yelled at maybe 3 or 4 times, and it was only because I was singing bad girl lyrics when I was too young. So that was the only time. Vanity 6 was really big in my life. So, okay. So Moya, do you think that parents realize that they are projecting their own fears and traumas into their kids?
Not at all. I don't think I believe some parents do. Some parents who are aware of that they want better for their children, they usually want better all the way around. But most part, I don't believe they do, because if you're in the middle of a situation and you're thinking, man, how do I get groceries? How do I make sure the lights are on? If you're in that situation, you're definitely not thinking, let me shelter my kids from this. So I believe there's levels to it. I do believe that it's a real thing that parents may not be aware of.
And Constance, do you think it's a cycle when it comes down to fear-based, raising our kids with fear-based? Do you think it's a cycle that we can break?
Oh, for sure. I'm a history buff. And I believe history tells a huge story of where we are, where we're going. If we understand our history, we can learn from it and do better from it. But you think about why we whip our children is because our slave masters whipped us. And then, our ancestors whipped their kids and, it went on from there. And so we thought that that was a good thing. But when you really understand that, the whipping didn't, my dad used to say that his mom used to whoop him because she loved him. I whoop you because I love you, boy. And I don't think that's truly showing love. Like, if you love somebody, why would you physically hurt them? I mean, now I'm not gonna get it twisted. I've whooped each of my children at least once or twice in their life. Like, not with a belt. I probably popped them, right? But to that point, when I think about it, why do I want to inflict harm and then do it while you're mad, you're angry, you're upset? Think about what that does psychologically to a child. And even beyond whooping and just, a lot of verbal abuse as well. So, it really negatively it affects a child. Just like Joe said, like, somebody beating you, how is that benefiting me? Like Cog said, better for the parent to get you in line before you become part of the prison pipeline. No. Why don't you talk to your child? Trust me, I would rather have my parents talk to me and explain to me why this isn't okay. That's what I do. We just have conversations. I don't have to whoop them, right? When you talk to them, they're intelligent human beings. They understand, and then they'll make decisions that are for their best interest. You got to talk to them, but you whooping them because they supposed to know is no.
I'm not. It's such a different world now, and even then, I mean, I feel like a lot of that stuff has just been passed down and parents just assumed that's what they were going to do. Karen said that's the control. When I was talking about the look, she said the look. My grandma had it, my mom had it, and I had it, and all you had to do was give that look and things will straighten up. But we're going to take a short break and we will be right back.
This is a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
And that's what we do here. We not only talk about the tough subjects and some of the fun subjects, the whole purpose here, we help you get your financial life together. So you do not want to miss out on the opportunities of getting in on getting some of the free resources that we have at flynubianmoney.com, because that's what they're there for. Listen, never put your head in the sand. Sometimes you may feel like things are just looming a little too heavy and you don't want to look at things. Well, that'll never solve things if you don't know where to begin. We help you get the beginning so that you can get to the goal line. So make sure that you go to flynubianmoney.com and download those free resources. Now, listen, I do want to say that Deborah had a really good comment. Deborah said, yes, I believe hurt parents can hurt children in the way they raise them if they have not worked on being healed. So, Joe, I'm going to let you tackle that a little bit because do you agree with that?
Yes, I believe hurt parents can hurt children. And yes, I do believe that hurt parents can hurt children. A lot of times what we're doing is we're passing on these unhealed wounds. Like that's what we're doing. Things, like you're disappointed because you heard for the duration of your life, we ain't got no McDonald's money, right? We ain't got no McDonald's money. You got McDonald's money. So when you start having kids and you start giving them all the McDonald's they want and they're not appreciating, what do? You start beating their ass. You know what I mean? Like that's all that we're doing. We're just passing down unmet needs, unhealed wounds from generation to generation until somebody says we're breaking the cycle.
Gotcha. And that's the key word. We can break the cycle. We can break the cycle. You definitely can do that. But I want to look at some really important stats for us, because I think it's important for us to see what else is out there for us to look at. Fear-based parenting and mental health. Studies show that children raised in fear-based households are more likely to struggle with anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem as adults. Research from Harvard found that children who were spanked regularly are more likely to display aggressive behavior and have trust issues later in life. A study by the National Endowment of Financial Education, y'all, found that people raised in homes where money was a source of fear or shame were less likely to take financial risks, invest, or build wealth. We talk about wealth here every single day. And the Black families hold just 13 cents for every dollar of wealth that white families have. And fear-based financial mindsets often prevent wealth-building behaviors like investing, home ownership, and entrepreneurship. Experts suggest that teaching financial literacy and shifting away from survival-based thinking is one of the biggest keys to closing the racial wealth gap. So do you understand that trauma can also manifest itself into our financial worlds as well? And we are definitely going to be tackling that, because that's a big thing for us to also know about. So Moya, do you think that our kids who grow up in a strict fear-based home more likely to struggle? We said that they are. So how do you see them struggle with anxiety and depression? You deal with a lot of children, don't you?
Yeah, well, I've dealt with children on different levels. Like, so college, yes, and also preschool children. And so I'm aware of it. One of the things that I see a lot when I'm helping clients in the office do their taxes is when they bring their kids in. And so what happens is they're thinking, oh, this is an office, so the kids have to be settled. And so what happens is they'll turn around and say, sit your, and they just start cursing at the kids. And that's the thing that affects me the most, because I'm just like, oh, the way that you're talking to your child isn't going to allow them to feel like they have control over their agency. Like the way that you're talking and cursing at them. I mean, that really affects me even more than I think whooping the child. I think, that has a longer lasting effect. And then they start to think that that's okay if other people speak to them that way.
Exactly. And then not only that, you also see their spirits. Like you really do see when a child has been broken. But, we touched a little bit on the financials, and I still want to dig into that a little bit too, because listen, this is not just physical. This is not just fear. These are things that we hold on to in ourselves, and it can manifest later on in our lives financially. So I want us to watch this video, and then let's dig into it.
People don't talk about this enough, but one of the worst things that you could have is literally a broke ass parent. And it's literally just over the fact of not ever being able to stop. I can never take a break. I can never ask for $20 in gas. I can never just go to the store or go out to eat and not be the one paying for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm 22 years old, and it's I'm tired. But I think it's a big lesson for me too. It's very much I'm not gonna do that to my child ever. I'm never gonna stop. I'm never gonna be stagnant. I'm never gonna give up. I'm always gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep pushing, going further. It doesn't matter how old my child gets, and I don't care that I'm an adult. There are bitches out here that are literally people that are my mom's age. Her mom still supports her. Her mom still takes care of her bills. her mom still allows her to live in her home. But it's like people like me who are 22 years old, or even people that are 30, there's bitches out here that are like 16 and have to make a living for themselves. And it's like,
I also want to give a little context to that video. She feels trapped by the way her mother raised her, but she is also expecting at this time too. So I think she's definitely reflecting on how she wants to parent moving forward. So I'm going to ask you, Constance, what are some common money beliefs that we hear parents pass down out of fear?
I think it's really sad. Because you want, as a parent, your kid should be able to rely on you. I'm almost 50 and I can still rely on my parents. If I really needed something, I'm blessed that I don't have to ask them for anything. But if I needed it, my parents would come through for me. And so to not be able to have somebody that you can lean to, and that's why definitely, my daughter 25 and she's back home with me, even though she has investment property. So I just want to make you want better for your family, but to your question, or for your kids, right? You want them to be in a better position, and you don't want them to have to struggle and suffer and all the things, right? You want to give them a head start. I think a lot of times as black people, because we've come from a place of struggle, not all of us, but we come from a place of struggle, there is that sort of financial abuse that we have towards our children. If we're broke, we can't really do the things that we need to do for them. We can't really provide for them in the way. And then so they suffer from a deficit, mentally. That right there breaks my heart. I have a cousin that used to get beat like that. He was a year older than me. We were really close. And his mom, there was a lot of colorism in my family. So her mom used to beat her. She had a light-skinned sister. She was dark-skinned. Used to beat her more. She beat the light-skinned. Then she turned around and did that to her children. She beat the dark-skinned one. And I remember we were 4 years old. I was 4. He was 5. My dad taught me how to tie my shoe. He couldn't tie his shoe. And I remember she used to watch us. She used to watch me. She used to be my babysitter. And she would put us in the closet, right? She would put us in the closet and punish us and put us in the closets. And then one time she said, she came in the closet and I was talking to somebody. She said, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "The man." And so she was really scared. So she took me out the closet. But I remember when I was tying my shoe, and she didn't teach him how to tie his shoe. She just told him he better learn how to tie his shoe. And I remember being over there and seeing him in the corner trying to tie his shoe, just crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And she said, "And she better not, she better not tie your shoe. I'm going to whoop your ass when I get back." And she used to just beat him. And then he grew up to do the same thing to his children and his wife. He wouldn't marry nobody. He wouldn't marry anybody black because he didn't want to have anybody like his mama. But he ended up doing the same thing. But she came from that same mindset and that impoverished mindset. And just seeing that picture right there triggered something for me, because I remember in my childhood seeing that happen to my cousin. And that was, now he walking around here crazy.
And the cycle still continues, right?
Yes.
We talked about how cycles definitely affect us. I do think that we have more opportunities for more skills, especially in this time. A lot of people, I would say when my parents grew up, a lot of them didn't have the money to do that, but they could learn to do better. Like my mother never had to do that. Like I said, I had the stern thing, but I definitely had friends that, at some points, if sleepovers or whatever, I would be afraid to go because the parents were so strict on them that I didn't want to do anything out of line for fear of me being in their household and being subjected to the same type of punishments that they were. So I've been around it. Thank God I wasn't raised in it. We're going to take a short break and we will be right back.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
Listen, you guys know that you don't want to miss any of our shows. And and a lot of you don't. A lot of you are here every single day. But if you do end up having something else to do and you cannot see our show on that day, you always can download us on Spotify. Please make sure that you go there and you download Fly Nubian Money so that you can take us on the go, take us on that run, take us in the car. We are there for you because we tackle some good stuff here and we don't want you to miss any shows. And here's a good thing. If you've already missed some, you can go back now and re-listen to them. So please make sure that you support us, give us a 5-star rating so that other people can also find us. Now, listen, we've talked about, I think we've drilled the point home on how fear can really cause issues with our children. Let's focus on some ways that we can change these cycles. So, Joe, what are some healthier discipline methods that teach respect and accountability to our children without putting them in fear?
Yeah, I think more based on like privileges. You know what I mean? Like understanding, having conversations that help you understand that if you have certain behaviors, you lose privileges. That's real life, right? That's real life. Honestly, you know, if you get into legal trouble, you're not going to get drawn in front of a court and you're not going to pull your pants down in front of the judge and jury and start beating your ass. They're gonna give you consequences, real life consequences that are irreversible. So having an understanding about what really goes on in the world, it will be. I mean, did you ever get the option? You know, like you can kick this ass whooping, or you can be on punishment for a week. And we always took the ass whooping. I'd rather take this beating than just sit up in this house for a week. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of on the long lines of healthier versions of consequences instead of beating.
I know I used to rather have a whooping than have my mama going off on me. Like, just whoop me already. Just
Yeah.
whoop me.
Right.
The disappointment was more hurtful than the beatings, and I think that's what people miss. They think that these beatings are correcting their children, but what they're not really understanding is that the disappointment that you are exuding is way more detrimental than that beating.
And Joe, I'm going to give you a follow-up question because that's really important, but I would like to hear your take on different personalities of our children as well. You were saying that, sometimes, you can just say you want to either or, you are also, I talked about, I just get the look. Do you believe that there are different levels of punishment for our children depending on their personalities?
It shouldn't be like cookie cutter. You know what I mean? If that's what you're asking, like, because we are dealing with different people. Some people are getting beat when they really have mental defects. You know what I mean? Like ADHD and ADD and all these things, and they just don't have the control. They don't have the chemical balance that it takes to do the things or have the focus that that the parents are wanting them to have. Sort of what it's looking like acting out is them doing the best they can. So it shouldn't be cookie cutter. So we should make it, different strokes for different folks.
Agree. Now, Moya, I'm going to ask you a tough question because we have a line in everything that we do. So this question is going to refer to what is the difference, in your opinion, between discipline and control when raising kids?
Yeah. That's such a good one because that's something that I myself am looking to get a better understanding of. Because one thing, so I have 3 kids and they're all very different. Their personalities are different. And to kind of piggyback off what you were saying with Joe in terms of how to deal with different personalities, I use Gary Chapman's 5 love languages and understanding how they like to be loved and knowing, and that lets me know what an absolute line that I do not need to cross. Like my oldest son, his love language is touch. So I make sure no matter how upset I am with his behavior, that it's a no-go. We don't spank him, touch him at all, because it's going to affect him differently. My middle son, his is words. And so I need to be super mindful of what I say to him because it really affects him versus saying, man, you were really bad today. I have to say, your behavior was really bad today. So that way he can separate the two and know it's not him, it was the behavior. And then my third one is service. So I have to really have a strong understanding of not to take away myself from when I'm looking to discipline her. So yes, and when you're understanding how to control them or discipline them, it really is an understanding of how I want them to show up in the world. And if what I'm going to do is going to affect that end result of them showing up in their greatness, then I know it's more control than discipline.
I think that was very well put. I'm so glad you shared that with us. I think that was very important for us to hear. We had some really good comments. I want to say Black Lexicon said, my disciplinary actions were scheduled, accompanied by pre-spanking explanations. Now, I have heard that form of punishment as well. And honestly, I did have a friend that did do that. And she said, I'd rather my mother explain to me why I'm getting the spanking. She never spanks me that long, but at least I understand why I'm getting it. And it's not just because she never turned around and just did it for the reason that she didn't understand. Then Mackie says, thank you for discussing this important topic. We should also include the differences of child rearing based on social class. Middle class parents quite differently than working class parents. I'm going to ask you that, Constance. Do you agree with that? Do you think there is a difference according to class?
100%. When you have, I don't want to say lower class, or when you have people who don't have the same amount of education, and they're of a certain socioeconomic status, they are more likely to whoop their child because I don't think they have an emotional intelligence to really understand what that means. And they're probably in the situation because they were whooped. So I do believe that, like the more astute that you become, and I don't want to say like poor people are dumb. That's not what I'm saying. But I think the more you become more intellectually astute, you understand things a little bit better. I mean, and I think it reflects in all areas of your life. When I was younger, I used to think, yeah, I'm gonna whoop my kids. Yeah, they, because that's what we were raised in. But as I got kids, like I said, when they were young, yeah, I whooped them. I doubt it was with a belt. They probably did something that may have warranted it. I don't know. But when I understood that doesn't really work, as I matured in my intellectual astuteness, then I looked at different ways to like maybe just pour into them a lot more and reaffirm some things about who they were as opposed to who they weren't. Just give them more guidance on why. I remember one time they weren't doing the dishes right, and they just weren't putting the dishes in the dishwasher, and I'm going off on them because they're not putting the dishes in the dishwasher right. But guess what? I never taught them how to put the dishes in the dishwasher. That's on me. It's not common sense. So a lot of times we as parents, we think certain things should be common sense. You should know this. That was taught to us. You should know this, common sense. I'm 3, right? So we have to teach them, then we follow up with, okay, why you ain't doing it right? Because I taught you X, Y, and Z. But if you haven't taught them, and you got to go back and look at yourself as a parent, why are they acting out? Why are they doing the things that they're doing? And I think another thing that Joe said that was so important is that we beating kids and may have mental deficiencies. And they get beat up because they can't sit still, because they don't have the attention span, because they have these behavioral issues that need more of a therapy rather than a beating. And we think we can resolve it by beating them. And it's so sad and it's so disheartening because kids are so innocent. They come here so innocent, and we fuck them up. We fuck children up by what we do to them. And it's sad.
And you're right. You can't expect these children to come here and know everything straight out of the womb. You have to understand that they have to be guided, and they also have to be guided with love. And this is something that we definitely have to understand. If we're going to take on the role of parenting, there comes big responsibilities with that. Big responsibilities. So I am going to ask you a question, Joe, before we go to break. Deanna says we could actually ask our children what they think appropriate punishment should be and negotiate the terms. This is what lawyers do for us. Teach them. Do you agree or disagree?
That's not a bad idea, and that's not a bad idea. I'm always going to advocate for communication over everything. You know what I mean? Like Moya said, you can ask why. I think that's important. I think that's brilliant. You have to make children understand why what they're doing is wrong, why there are consequences for your actions. What are you doing this for? So yeah, negotiating the terms and trying to get a gauge on if they understand how what they did was inappropriate is a good lesson for them and for you.
Double learning. Because I believe that there are some things that we learn as well as we're parenting. Like, we don't just take everything that our kids, when we have kids. I was 16 when I had my child, and I knew how I was parented, and it was gentle. But then again, my mother was still parenting me at 16. So that cycle, I had to learn when it was time for me to get out on my own, to be the parent that I was. So I think we take that on, and we have to understand that these are life skills that we also learn along the way. So I see you shaking your head, Moya. So do you agree with me on that? Do you think that these life skills that we're doing with our children are also being learned at the same time we're parenting?
Oh my God, Lala. I felt like you hit the nail on the head, because the times that I get really angry at them, when I pause and I look, I said, whoa, this is what I'm doing. Like, obviously, in terms of not whatever little behavior they're doing as their child self, but as an adult, I see it. So you are so right. Like, I feel like if you really want personal development, you either start a business or become a parent.
Ooh,
You'll
start
grow.
a business or Constance, what you think about that? Start a
100%. 100. It definitely makes you understand, how the way of the world if you do that. So I think she's 100% right.
I agree. Well, listen, guys, we are going to take another short break, and then we've got something else to share with you. I think this is good information. You know what? I wish people were talking about this a little bit more when I was coming up. I mean, we saw things, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. Remember when we used to have like civics and all those things that we were taught in school? They didn't even talk about parenting other than here's a baby that cries. See if you can make it stop. And if you can make it survive for 2 weeks, you pass the class, right? But we're going to take this short break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Dr. Javette, brand your brilliance coach and monetization strategist. I am partnering with the Fly Nubian Money Club to help you turn your natural gifts into big business. I help my clients build 6- and 7-figure businesses by branding their brilliance. You know, that thing that comes easy to you, the thing that you can do with your eyes closed, that thing, that's your brilliance. And now it's your turn. Join me on February 22nd at 10 o'clock a.m. and I'll walk you through strategies that can change your life and business forever. Don't miss this opportunity to brand your brilliance. I'll see you in class.
To see her in class. Do you see? All you do is look at Dr. Lene and know that you are going to get some good stuff. She is going to help you brand your brilliance. Now, tomorrow is February 22nd. All right. The class is going to start at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You still have time to get in on the class. Sign up at www.flynubianmoneyclub.com. Not only will you be able to get a 30-day trial, but you'll also be able to go back and look at all of the trainings we've had up to now, which is Constance and Athena and me and Vanessa Goldpaul. And now you got Dr. Lene. Listen, we are really trying to help you up your game and your financial house. Don't miss out. Sign up, flynubianmoneyclub.com. Listen, I got another video I want to share with y'all. So let's check this out and get back into the conversation.
I could hear some people saying like, it sounds real white. And you're like,
no, actually beating a black child is the whitest thing you can do to destroy them intellectually.
Say it again.
Beating a black child is the whitest thing that you can do to destroy them psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, and physiologically. So what I talk about in my book, Spare the Kids, is I go back 2,000 years of history, back to antiquity in Europe, where corporal punishment, this ritualistic violence against children, was born. And,
in
Europe. And there are white guys who wrote books about this. So, you know, when black women say this kind of stuff, nobody believes us. But I got the bibliography. So a bunch of white dudes wrote this before I was even born. And they've tracked all of this violence against children in Europe. Europeans never respected their own kids.
That's pretty powerful. She stood firm on that word. So I'm actually going to ask all of you the same question. You too, viewership family, I want to know your thoughts on this. Listen, we have to start within ourselves, but also in our communities. Remember, we said it's a cycle, and we also see other people's households. So I'm going to start with you, Moya. How do you think, as we as a community can shift from survival mode into teaching better for our kids? I didn't word that right. Sorry. How, as a community, can we change our thinking about fear-based parenting?
I think it's the most immediate way would be through economics, because anything that I go in and tell you about don't curse, don't hit, don't, it doesn't help the situation. As what Constance was saying when they brought the question up, is it working class and middle class different parenting? And I think because so many of us are at the rung of working class, that's who my answer is geared towards. And so if we take those steps to first fix the economics, then I feel like they're going to be open to the other areas of progression that we need to get our kids to.
I think that's a great answer. So, Constance, what do you think? What can we do as a community to change this?
Just bring awareness, continue to speak, continue to talk about it. And, you know, these conversations I think are really great. Like the gentleman, the first video, that when he talked about that, you know, it's the way he put it, you know, about fear-based parenting and what that does psychologically and mentally to a child. And just continue to have these conversations on these types of platforms. Like, we need to know, like, this shit is not cool. Yes, this is what you were taught. Yes, this was passed down from generation to generation. But like the lady said in the video, this is actually a Eurocentric value. It has nothing to do with being Black. We are beating our children because the slave masters beat our ancestors. That's the reason why we're beating them. White people ain't beating their kids today because they understand that it does nothing. Just training somebody to, you know, and then you think about the Bible, you know, spare the rod, spoil the child. I don't believe in that either. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. So I don't believe that you should whoop your kids so that they won't be spoiled. I believe that you need to have a dialogue with them. And if you were doing, you know, it goes back to, I'm gonna rant a little bit. You know, when you watch like Dr. Phil and Maury, you see them people come out and they kids is bad as shit, and then everybody's booing the kids, boo, boo, boo to the kids. And it's like, no, what did you do as a parent to make that child be that way? You know what I'm saying? You got to turn that into yourself. What have you done as a parent to make your kids act or react in the way that they're acting? It's not so a lot of these adults, we need to take a deep dive into ourselves internally and see where we are messing up, where we have missed the mark, and how we can better parent. They are our biggest investment in life, your children. I don't give a damn what nobody thinks. I love the kudos and accolades, all the things people say to me all the time, but there's nothing more important than how my kids see me.
Agree. I agree. You know, I think oh my God, I'm really emotional on that. What we sow into our children also comes back to us, where they sow back into us. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I sowed as best as I could into my son. My son is very successful with his hair business, he's doing things, you know, he struggled in life too, got over those struggles. But to hear my son tell me, Mama, thank you for raising me the way that you did. I know how to treat people, how to talk to people, how to really look upon people as being fellow human beings. And I love you and appreciate you for that. Those are words that came out of his mouth just recently. My birthday is tomorrow. And he sowed into me right back from what I sowed into him. This is how you know that your kids are really listening and your kids are really paying attention to what you're teaching them and how you're treating them. And a lot of his friends, when I used to go to his parties, used to say the same thing. He is the best friend we've ever had. So you have to understand what you're putting into your children also comes back to you too. All right. So you need to think about that before you move forward and you really get into parenting. But Joe, I didn't get an opportunity to ask you, what do you think that we can do as a community to change this?
Yeah, I'm always saying the same thing. I'm like a broken record. I'm unlearn, unlearn, unlearn. We have so much to unlearn, like generational things that were passed down and passed down. And it's not that what that generation did before us was wrong because they had to do it. Like different generations have to do different things in order to survive. Especially in the Black community. Like I have a lot of conversations with my grandmother who she was born in like, I don't know, somewhere in the like late 30s, early 40s, right? So she grew up understanding different ways of survival than what is necessary today. So I can't knock her for feeling that way, or you know what I mean. But it's necessary for us to unlearn certain things that don't serve us anymore. Like we don't need all of these ways of survival to make it. So once we unlearn that and then kind of learn some new things and there's a lot of smart people around here talking to us about. I think Constance is right. Economics and things like that, things that we need to understand about what's really important for our survival. It's not just staying out of jail and making sure your rent's paid. It's a little more to us right now than that.
Yeah, because there's way more to life than just that, right? I mean, I truly believe that we are here on a life journey. We are here for a journey to learn something. And, it's more than what people tell you. When kids come here, my mom used to say, and I may be showing my old country self, my mom used to say children came here and they still had their veil. Okay, so they didn't need to, they still remember what heaven was like. Okay, they still remember where they came from before. And it's not until we start putting things into them that veil ends up getting lifted. So I honestly believe children come here, they come here with a blank slate. They come here in love. They come here for the journey. And we just forget sometimes that we are on this life journey, and each and every one of us has a different journey, but yet we're still tied together on this journey in some kind of way. So Deborah said, yes, I apologize often now to my adult children. I want them to be healed. I think this is really important because in our initial video, Charlemagne, who I'm not a big fan of, y'all. I'm really not a big fan of him, but I actually was pretty proud of him by saying that he apologizes to his children. Moya, do you think that is important for us to do?
Oh my God. I think it's so important. It's so important because my belief is you need to treat your children now how you want the world to treat them. And that's what they go looking to expect because that's what they see. And so, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Can I say something? I'm sorry.
Please.
I was just thinking about what you guys were talking about, with the socioeconomic, how different people discipline their kids. And I was just thinking about one time before I had kids, I was with my mama and we were at the store and my niece was with us. She was probably about 3 or 4. She just jumping and hopping and she fell. And I said, that's what you get, right? And then when we got in the car, my mama said, you sound ghetto. You sound crazy. You sound like them ghetto. She a little bitty baby. Talk about that's what she get. You don't raise no. And so my mom had got on me, but it did make me understand that. And that's why I have that thought about this is how ghetto people treat their kids. On the same token, I seen them say people in her family that cuss their kids out, call them bitches and all. I said my mama was basically saying, you sound like her other side of the family, talking about that's what you get. And, it's true. Like, the ghetto you are, that's the kind of shit that they do.
And it's funny, if I would have been called names, I had teased enough by other kids. Lord Jesus, if I would have been called a name, my whole spirit would have just been broken. Y'all would have
You was
come
that
and get me.
sensitive, huh?
Woo, baby, was and still am. Y'all, you just heard me say I almost started crying. So what boy? What?
It's
Bless
Joe.
your
It's
heart.
Joe.
Bless your heart.
Oh, listen, this is a great point for us to take a break because I'm already getting the giggles. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the Black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Let me
Ain't
tell
no
you, Gwen
privately.
is sexy as shit. Who are
Right?
already? She put that extra air in there. Who are looking for you? Okay, Gwen. You better bring that thing. You better bring
But
that.
yes, they are looking for you. They're looking for you. I'm looking for you. And we're trying to keep our Black dollars in our community, right? So if you have a business, and y'all, she said free 99. Get your information in. Get your information in about your business. Please make sure that you're thorough with telling us all of your business information. Double check yourself that your websites are correct, your phone numbers are correct, your titles are correct, and where people can find you. Please email us at info@realvirtual.net. And this is if you want the directory and also if you want to be in the directory. So please make sure that you do that because we are growing stronger here. And that's what we want. We want to make sure our communities are stronger and we are taking care of one another. No more of that. We ain't going to work with Susie down the street. This is what we're going to do. While they taking, we making. So let's do that. Make sure that you get into the directory. Joe, I want to ask you one last question before we actually get into final thoughts, because I think this is very important to bring into this conversation. You had mentioned that you had a stepfather that had authority to discipline you. So I'd like to know what you think the first what's the first step that parents can take when it's a blended family to parent from love and not fear? This is we got blended families, we got step parents sometimes. How do you see that we can work that in that comes out as positive?
Communication is always going to be the first thing. And if you can't manage that on your own, get in with a professional, and it's not just a shameless plug. Like sometimes we need help understanding perspectives. You don't know what that child honestly went through or what that child is feeling, not having their biological parent in the first place. That is an emotional thing in itself. I almost want to call it traumatic because it's traumatic for some, but not for all. But that's a thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm already not having my actual biological parent. I'm watching my friends go through life with their biological parents. That has an effect on me. So now you're bringing another human being into my space and giving them authority over me without talking to me about it. Right? Because a lot of people don't talk, so we don't know how that makes that child feel, and you got to do that. You know what I mean? Like what is okay, what is not okay, what are you actually doing here, and why do you need this extra person? I understand. I don't know what you're doing. What are your needs? You know what I mean? So communication. Talk to your children. They are human beings with feelings. You can't just say, I pay the bills, so they got to live the way I want. You can't do that and expect them to be okay with it.
You know what? I think the more you talk to your children, even when you talk to your kids when they're young, you find out they're a little smarter than you give them credit, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, go ahead, Moya.
I just want to ask Joe a question. So does that mean like if the mom or dad realizes that the child has pulled away or that the child is no longer talking, like what signs can they watch for to say, oh, let me get some guidance on if the child feels like this situation's okay?
I mean, most of us we really, for the most part, know our children. So we're going to see little differences in behavior that show up. So yeah, pulling away, withdrawing, not coming around as much, being defiant, you know what I mean? Like starting to talk a certain way, all of these little things that okay, this is not my child, right? This is not my child. So something is wrong. Instead of looking at it as, oh, I'm going to, beat this out of you, beat this disrespect out of you, let's look at it for what it is. It's a sign that there is an emotional shift in your child that you need to address. And you can do that without, conflict. You can actually approach your child and have conversations. And a lot of people do not respect the intelligence level of their children. Children know and understand way more than we give them credit for, and they absorb everything. They absorb everything. Everything is influential when you're a child. So conversations need to be had almost around everything. And that sounds crazy. And a lot of people look at that and go back to that same mentality. I pay the bills, so it's going to be this way. And that's just not, like that lady said, that's just like the whitest thing you can do.
I think that we have really had such a good conversation here. We've tackled some of the things that we struggle with in our community and some of our experiences with parenting as well. But it is time for us to wind it down today. So we're going to start with our final thoughts. I'm going to start with you, Constance. Can we have your final thoughts and where we can find you, please?
Sure. So listen, your children are the biggest commodity and biggest investment that you can make in this world. They are the extension of you that contributes to the next generation, to legacy, to the community and all that. And so I just say, take a step back. And even if you were taught wrong, you can change. I love the idea of apologizing to your children. I think it's important. They are human beings. They have feelings. And the first place that they get a little bit of self-esteem about themselves is from you as the parent, is from us as the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to tell you, they are the best things that you can actually produce in this world. And if you do it right, you can raise some people who really make a difference and impact the world in a major way. So where can you find me? I am Constance Carter. But listen, also kids are going to be the next thing to contribute to the wealth gap for our people. And so we need to move our race forward. We need to move our community forward. And that's definitely a contribution. So anyway, I am Constance Carter.
Easy. I am Constance Carter. You can find her everywhere. Constance is in these social media streets. She's on the YouTube streets. She's got everything. So it's really easy to find her. But hey, don't put it off. Go ahead and do it. She's got a lot of great things for you and doing a lot of wonderful things and helping you build your wealth. So you want to make sure that you do go and check her out. Moya, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing that I want all of us to remember is that these children, they're not ours. These children we're stewards of them while they're here. It's almost like we're their guides. These are really God's children. And these children chose us. And they chose us because they believe in the skills that we have as parents. Now it's time that we show up in a way that allows them to flourish. We have to remember that the greatest gift that we can give them is a level of understanding. And by us understanding them more, we're going to understand ourselves more, and we're going to grow together with your child and yourself as a parent. And many times, I know it's stressful and I know it's challenging, but it's something that if we slow down and we become aware of our situation, it can truly be the gift that also gives back to us as we also age. So they're an amazing gift. My name is Moya, and you can, if you have any questions about taxes, about scholarships, about getting your child into that dream college that they have, please reach out to me on Instagram at moya.business.
Moya's got all sorts of good stuff. Now, y'all know we are in tax season right now. That's what she does, right? So you want to make sure that you reach out to her. But not only that, she is definitely helping your babies get some money for school. That is very, very important that we get them the resources that are available to them. Because there are a lot of resources. You just got to know how to tap into them. Make sure that you follow Moya and tap into her expertise. All right, Joe, what is your final thoughts and where can we find you?
Okay, I'll be real quick. I just want to say that your emotional connections are always determined by where you are mentally. So if you're in a wounded place, you will raise your children from that wounded place. So I'm just encouraging everybody to do the work, seek healing, all right, to close some of them wounds so you're not raising your children through your insecurities and your fears. All right, like seriously, just tap in, do the work, start to close some of them things. It's never too late. It's never too late. All right. As long as you got life in your, in your lungs, you can do this thing. So realuconsulting.com or find a therapist anywhere, but you can come see me, go to my website, set up a free consult, and then we can start talking about unpacking some of them wounds and healing some of them holes in your heart so that you don't pass those on to your children and you pass on healthy traditions. And y'all maybe can learn some things together because, there's a lot of information out here. You come here every day to get, information, seriously, there's a lot of things that you learn just on this show, that you can pass on to your children. So, and you can find me, Joe Corley, on all socials and every Tuesday night on my podcast, Vulnerabilities and New Sexy.
Oh, I love the podcast name. Y'all got to make sure you go and check it out because it is some really powerful stuff in there. And you want to make sure that you do reach out to Joe because you know what he really means what he says. Listen, guys, if y'all need some help, he's got his couch ready for you. Now, check this out, y'all. Check out this show lineup, right? Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Part 1, Foundation. 2, Fighting Fair. 3, The Art of Turning Towards. And then 4, Shared Meaning and Future Goals. Vulnerability is the new sexy. Now, Constance, I think you have something for us, and I don't want to move on to my final thoughts until I tap back into you, please.
I do. I want to say something that I think is very, 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 I don't know, special. It's somebody's happy birthday, darling.
Happy birthday!
Thank you so much. Double digits. I am so blessed. I really am. And let me tell you something else. I am blessed by each and every one of you. I really was looking for some type of outside family, and I have found it here with the Fly Nubian Money. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for my message. I appreciate it. Listen, everybody, here is my final thoughts. We are all here for a reason. And if you can't help, surely in the hell don't harm. That means all creatures, great and small. We're all learning, but we all can get through this together. And you can find me at my website, www.laurakey.net. And I have some really great free resources there for you. And if you're thinking about moving abroad, because a lot of people are chattering about it, I have a great quiz for you to help guide you on where you are in your mindset about moving abroad. It's going to tap into some things that maybe you didn't know, and it's also going to let you know if you're ready to start making that process happen. So you can get that on www.laurakey.net. All right. What a great conversation. So today's conversation was about more than just parenting. It was about breaking generational cycles. Fear-based parenting has been passed down for centuries, but we have to ask, is it really helping our children or is it continuing the trauma? Not only does fear-based parenting affect mental and emotional health, but it also shapes how we see money, success, and opportunity. The good news, We can change the narrative. That is great news. If we want to raise strong and confident, financially literate Black children, we have to heal ourselves first. It's time to shift from fear to freedom, from survival mode to wealth building mode, and from control to connection. So let's keep the conversation going in the comments. We always love to go back and see what you've got to say. We all respond. How do we break this cycle? How do we parent from a place of love and not fear? So it's a huge thank you to my panel today for sharing their insights and talking about their experiences. But be sure to like and share and subscribe. And as always, master your mindset, maximize your money, and we will see you next Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Fly Nubian Money. But stick around because it's Black History Month and we black. Stay tuned.
Hold on, Lala.
Huh?
So I heard a rumor that my big head sis, Constance, got a birthday coming this weekend too. So we got to say happy birthday to Constance too. And everybody out there wondering how she hurt her fingers. She was trying to hang from a ceiling fan, y'all. And it didn't work out. She wanted to work out. It's her birthday, so we're going to say happy birthday to Constance.
Ow.
Happy birthday, Constance!
Thank you. I'm Sunday. I can't believe Pisces twins, Pisces sisters. I didn't even know you were a day before me.
We swim, little fishy swim.
That's so cool. I love it.
Happy birthday,
Happy
sis.
birthday to you too. My last year in my 40s.
But 50s is delicious.
That's what I heard. I'm looking forward to it. I ain't in a rush, but I'm looking forward to it.
It's a blessing. So
Yes,
stay
amen.
tuned. Here is our Black history.
Lift every voice and sing.
If it had not been for the Black church, there would probably be no church in this country. And the reason I say that is because that is what was written by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Dietrich Bonhoeffer came to the U.S. in the 1930s, before the start of World War II. He is one of the greatest intellectuals for the Christian faith from the 20th century. But what Bonhoeffer wrote is the white church had gotten so intellectual, they had moved up into a phase that's very much like our departments of religion, that they've moved away from Jesus and the experience of Jesus working in your life. And he says it got so devoid of faith, it was just based upon all this intellectualism, that there was no relating to God anymore. And so when he was in the U.S., he would just go to the African churches, to the African American churches, to the Black churches, and there's where he would fellowship. And he enjoyed their singing, he enjoyed their closeness, and he found them also able to run at the intellectual level, yet they had not lost the depth of relationship.
Till victory.